Hello friends, how are you all doing? I am sure the previous session on urban planning has left you with many more curiosities about urban planning, urban design, and today while going to the library I came across a very wonderful book which I have referred in almost all my sessions by Lewis Mumford, and the book title is The Urban Prospect, and we have fantastic topics in this book, and one which is of immense significance to our today's session is that on social complexity and urban design. If I am not wrong, this book is also available online. I would like you all to refer this book. And to begin our today's session, just let me quote two lines from this wonderful chapter. The key to a fresh architectural image of the city as a whole lies in working toward an organic unit of urban order which will hold together its component parts through successive changes in function and purpose from generation to generation. In fact, every word of this particular phrase which I have mentioned is so much connected with our today's session, because without social understanding, social planning is not possible, and that is what is our today's session all about. So, social planning involves community and government groups and organizations working together in collaboration to address critical social issues facing a community. Social planning has also been referred to as community development or community social planning. Social planning is carried out at all levels of government, by non-government bodies, by private industry, and also by the philanthropic bodies. Social planning touches wide range of fields like social policy, social services planning, social welfare, social work, and community organization also. This has given social planning a broad scope and a far-reaching institutional history as well. When we talk about social planning with reference to India, in India the significance of planning was recognized much before independence. Various ideological perspectives were brought to influence on the efforts made at plan formulation by few individuals and institutions. The socio-economic planning has been one of the most noteworthy inventions of the 20th century. Even before independence, the nation was conscious about the significance of planned development. We all are familiar with prominent public men like Dadabhai Nauroji, M.C. Ranade, R.G. Dutt, who wrote extensively on social and economic problems of the India as a country. During long period of India's struggle for freedom, the concern for the problems of mass poverty, protection of the farmers and the artisans, the need for industrialization and reconstruction of the entire fabric of social and economic life. Almost all the national leaders looked upon political freedom primary as the means to solve these fundamental problems. For Mahatma Gandhi, freedom was not merely a political goal but a prerequisite for relieving the masses from poverty and stagnation. The social and economic aims of struggle for freedom came to be precisely defined during the 1930s. Ultimately, the social planners aim to create healthier communities, which is also the aim of urban planning. Goals often relate to improving the entire environment and communities for populations such as children and youth, seniors or immigrants, or address challenges such as housing, transportation or gambling and addiction. Regardless of the challenges a community faces, an important goal which is common to social planning is attention to the process a community undergoes to solve its challenges. Although all communities face difficulties, social planning sees collaboration as not only effective but necessary. When communities have a wide range of partnerships to address challenges, greater community knowledge and understanding is gained, strong relationships are formed and solutions can be realized. Urban planning and social planning mutually influence each other, and both are a profession and a discipline of academic scholarship as well. While distinct, these two institutional forms of planning are not discrete. However, for a long time, urban planning focused on and was dominated by physical planning. However, in the later 19th and early 20th centuries, modern urban planning, town planning or city planning as it was also then called, developed in response to emerging conditions of urban life, most usually concerns about overcrowding and squalor in the rapidly expanding industrial cities. The early urban planning was dominated by engineers and architects, and the emphasis which was on the enforcement of building and zoning legislation diverted attention from the social aspects of the urban planning. After the First World War, zoning and the preparation of master plans became common in most Western countries. During this period, the practice of urban planning gained significance. Researchers such as Robert Murray Hague thought it possible that planners could one day specify exactly where things belonged in the vast metropolitan region, utilizing a scientific basis for zoning for the good of all the members in the community. Moreover, thinkers like Ebenezer Howard, Patrick Geddes maintained that the physical environment was a major determinant of social behavior and a direct contributor to an individual's social welfare. On this basis, they encouraged physical improvements for cities and argued that city government should enact land use legislation to control future construction and segregate different types of urban activities. David Harvey, a Marxist geographer, maintains that while in the past town planners viewed and judged towns predominantly in physical and aesthetic terms, the approach changed to that of a socio-economic perspective. Harvey says a sociological conception of space was to replace a geographical or morphological conception. Within this new context, urban planners who had previously been dominated only by physical planning doctrine began to recognize more and more the social components of their work. Analysis of these developments gradually stimulated a greater interest in the social, economic and political dimensions of urban planning, and it was gradually recognized that urban planning involved a variety of tasks such as creation of jobs through planned investment, the anticipation of the social impact of urban planning. Social planning is a vital input into environmental planning also, particularly in examining the social impacts of possible major changes to the built environment. As Harvey Perloff noted, social planners in American city planning agencies were undertaking 6 tasks. What are they? Assessing and monitoring the social impact of plans, followed by preparing long-term social development plans, undertaking social research, coordinating with the community services and helping to locate community facilities, and enlisting the grassroots participation in planning. The directive principles of our constitution visualizes an economic and social order based on equality of opportunity, social justice and right to work, right to an adequate wage and measure of social security for all citizens. These directive principles provide a guideline of state policy. Planning in India has to follow these guidelines and to initiate action which will in due course create desired social and economic pattern. Moreover, 4 long-term objectives were set out by the planners in India. What are they? Firstly, to increase the production to the maximum possible extent so as to achieve higher level of national and per capita income. Secondly, to achieve full employment. Thirdly, the aim was to reduce inequalities of income and wealth and also to set up a socialist society based on equality and justice and absence of exploitation. In the wake of industrialization and accelerated urbanization at unprecedented scale has led to overcrowding, slums, rural to urban migration, social and occupational mobility, some degree of social breakdown, crime and delinquency and organized commercial vices. The planned intervention and social planning help in overall development of the urban centers. The advocacy of planning by United Nations in 1950s reflected this view. While United Nations advocated the adoption of economic planning to foster rapid growth, it also promoted a residual approach to social welfare and social planning in which minimum government services catering to the needs of the most desperate sections of the population were created. Social planning is an essential part of operation of both government as well as the non-government organizations in social development and responding to social issues and needs. Social planning requires the skills, abilities and knowledge to analyze social issues and trends, engage with diverse communities and develop plans for social as well as human development. Social planning was a positive tool for resolving imbalances and contradictions in a great and mixed country such as India. The board measured all aspects of planning and shaped a sequence of studies on diverse subjects concerned with fiscal expansion also. Just after the achievement of independence, government set up Planning Commission in 1950 to review the country's need of material capital and human resources so as to make plan for their fall and successful consumption. There are several approaches to social planning also. Let us try to understand in brief. We can discuss about sectoral planning, which is planning by individual sectors like teaching, physical condition, accommodation and communal safety are included in sectoral planning. The area development approach contemplates that expansion of an area depends not only on the progress of an sufficient communication system, but also the way factors of the local country are activated, approximately the production infrastructure. We have also integrated development approach. In the framework of troubles in the area development approach are the government guiding principle to deal with the harms of rural poverty, a new policy of progress that is incorporated growth approach has been developed because the area development approach by and large failed to concentrate on the question of inequalities in the allotment of employment, incomes and assets. There are multiple components of planning, including our social planning. The spatial component, it is part of spatial plan which necessitates to believe the physical possession, earth use and all human settlements in a county, right from the smallest conclusion to the city. The economic component, which includes economic planning, has conventionally been the case of core of scheduling, since a standard aspire of development planning has been to raise service and income. The essential fundamentals of monetary scheduling are information about the state of these in the district: possessions, demographic features, economic features, socio-economic features, infrastructural factors, sectoral profiles, etc. With regard to social component, the mission of a plan is also to diminish social inequalities, make available social services and guarantee community involvement. For any plan, public participation is both a significant instrument and a purpose for development, since planning is the medium of social revolution and means to link the gap between the regime and the people. We also have administrative component. Achievement or breakdown of social planning is eventually prejudiced by the opinionated and executive setup of the planning mechanism. These administrative aspects are important for smooth functioning of planning process, because they are based on establishing mechanisms for the synchronization and execution of plan, introducing bureaucratic innovations for release of funds and events for implementation, intersectoral and intrasectoral transfers, establishing procedures for monitoring and assessment of schemes. The 74th Constitutional Amendment stipulated that the state should endow municipalities with necessary powers to prepare plans for economic development and social justice, and also the matters covered by the 12th schedule. Friends, cities play a decisive role in achieving India's commitments to the global agenda, such as United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2030, UN Habitat's new urban agenda and the Paris Agreement under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. The new urban agenda, adopted at Habitat 3 in 2016, puts forth principles for the planning like construction, development, management and improvement of urban areas. It seeks to work as an accelerator of the Sustainable Development Goals, in particular the SDG 11. The new urban agenda has included spatial sustainability as important dimension in addition to three widely discussed dimensions: social, economic and environmental sustainability. The UN Habitat 2020 mentions that spatial sustainability as a concept suggests that the spatial conditions of a city can enhance its power to generate social, economic and environmental value and well-being. Governments can achieve spatial sustainability by guiding the physical form of urban environments to create equitable access to jobs, housing and social interactions, enable agglomeration economies and encourage sustainable relationships to ecosystems and natural habitats. The physical form of a city, which is the result of the intentional planning and development, is critical to urban social, economic and environmental well-being. The question of the impact of planning is many-sided. According to Ryden, there are at least 3 different ways of understanding the entire matter. The traditional question in the debate has been in what extent the policy goals of planning have been achieved, how and in what way the plans have been implemented. Later, there has been presented questions about the effectiveness of planning as a set of procedures, or rather the potential weakness in planning as a process have been outlined. Most recently, the third view of the impact has taken attention, that is, what are the outcomes of planning in terms of environmental or social change and protection of nature and people's health and welfare. Much of this analysis highlights the inadequacies in the planning process in various parts of the system and the extent to which outcomes fall short to ambitions in many cases. The environmental and social impact assessment procedures, that is EIA and SIA, and the participatory planning practices are one of the main policy tools and methods which have been developed in order to satisfy the legitimacy qualifications concerning the environmental and social questions of planning. Impact assessment is the process having the ultimate objective of providing decision makers with an indication of the likely consequences of their actions. From the end of 1990s, social dimensions of urban planning have become more topical issues in Indian urban policy. There are several reasons for this, such as the changes in legislation, structural changes in urban development, and the economic and social spatial differentiation. Poor air and water quality, insufficient water availability, waste disposal problems, and high energy consumption are exacerbated by the increasing population density and demands of the urban environments. Strong city planning thus will be essential in managing these and other difficulties as the world's urban areas keep on swelling. Urban planning is the design and regulation of the uses of space that focus on the physical form, economic functions and social impacts of the urban environment and on the location of different activities within it. Dear friends, in this session we have tried to understand the various aspects of social planning. We have discussed that cities are social entities and therefore social planning and urban planning are related components, interdependent on each other. In a country like India, urban planning has to incorporate social dimensions to address challenges like poverty, social economic inequalities and physical and social infrastructure. So, if you have any suggestions on how to incorporate social planning or what should be the dimensions of social planning, please feel free to write to me at pandevini@gmail.com. And a very important component of social planning is also people's participation, and I am not leaving anything for you to guess. Our next session will be on people's participation.